Welcome to Sidekicks with Heather Goodenkoff and Lola, where we chat with your favorite authors and their pets. And I'm so excited today because today we welcome Mary Potter Kenyon, the author of Call to Be Creative, a guide to reigniting your creativity. Debbie Macomber, #1 New York Times bestselling author, says about Call to Be Creative. Each chapter is filled with encouragement and inspiration. If you're looking for something to feed your creative soul, this is it. Wow, high praise coming from Debbie Macomber. Wow, that's
Yes.
amazing. Yeah, well, thank you
Thank you
so
for
much for being here today.
thank you for having me.
And tell us about your sidekick.
So this is a female cat named Kevin, and it's a tortoise shell, and she is about 7 years old. We did adopt her from the Humane Society. I am not a cat person. I didn't think. So she was not mine for the first 3 years. She was my two youngest daughter's cat. And everybody told me after my husband had passed away that the girls needed a pet. And this time when we went to the Humane Society and we're just looking around, when I heard her story, I think I kind of fell in love with her because she had lost her owner and her dog friend and her home all in one fell swoop. So the dog had already been adopted, and so she was very much alone. So she and I kind of ignored each other for about 3 years. I mean, she was the girls. And then she got a little bit depressed when my daughter Katie left the house, and I think I started petting her, which is all it takes. And then last year I went to California for a week to visit my new grandbaby. And when I came back, all of a sudden she jumped up in my bed, and she'd never done that before. And
She missed you.
yes, so the rest is history. She's now mine, I think.
So now we have to ask, how did Kevin get her name?
Oh, I know. There she goes. So Kevin, I let the girls pick the name, and they did not want all the wonderful names I was coming up with, like Pepper or Mocha or anything. But for some reason, Katie, who's now 20 years old and getting married this summer, said Kevin. She's a Kevin. And I said, how could she be a Kevin? Kevin's a boy's name, and she liked it. She would come every time she said Kevin, so she became a Kevin.
Well, the kids will come up with something creative every time, right? That's great. Now, does Kevin have a favorite pastime? How does he
The girls would say sleeping. But no, she's got one toy that's really getting like grody, and it's disgusting now. But you pull out that yellow toy and she just gets so excited. I think it's like 5 years old, and it probably smells, and maybe that's why she loves it. But she will get out that, and she loves looking out the windows at birds.
Oh, sure.
But she wants out. I mean, so we have to be careful.
Indoor cat always,
She's an indoor cat. Mm-hmm.
so she can dream and imagine chasing after the birds. Yeah. So, I mean, you write about creativity. You work with authors and people in the community about being creative, among other things. How does a pet contribute to your creative life, do you think? Does it have an impact?
I think she calms me down. I mean, if my mind is going all over the place, and that tends to happen with those of us who are writers, your mind like goes all over the place sometimes. And I think just petting an animal can calm a person down, because I find that's what. And if I'm upset or have anxiety about something, she senses that, so she will come and just sit by me, and I like that too. So I don't know if during this pandemic, we actually thought if we got the paints out and started letting her play in the paints, would she become like the next internet sensation of cat paintings? So we haven't actually tried it yet, because that's awfully messy to try. But if it's nice out someday, we were thinking about trying that. Just, how awesome would that be? Our cat would be the next painter.
Okay, if you do that, you have to come back and show us the artwork.
What the cat made. Now I have to do it. Now I have to try it.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's Do you have a favorite animal from literature?
Well, Winnie the Pooh, but that's not a real animal, so
Okay.
I
No,
don't know if that counts because
no.
I'm probably not going to get a bear anytime soon.
Yeah, of
But
course.
the wisdom of Winnie the Pooh, I don't know if that counts.
I think it absolutely counts. Tigger would count, and I mean,
Yes. Oh, yes.
so I think that's an absolute great one. My daughter and I recently watched Christopher Robin, which is the movie that's somewhat
Oh,
recent, and we really enjoyed that. We thought it was really really good. So
so I watch that too, and I don't know. There's several of them, and some are very serious. So I don't know which one or the names of each one, but I've watched all of the ones that are based on the true story of Christopher
movies are
Robin.
great, and I think there's a book called The Tao of Winnie the Pooh. That's
Hmm.
all about the philosophy around.
All that wisdom coming from that little bear.
Yes, exactly, exactly. Now, how about like a human sidekick duo from popular culture? Do you have a favorite one that from TV or books or anything?
Well, I have an author who, even though she's dead, has really influenced me. And she influenced me before she had passed away, Madeline L'Engle, but not for her children's and her youth. The ones that are famous, that she's famous for, but Madeline had a set of journals
Oh,
that were published, and it's the Two-Part Invention is one of them. It's Crosswicks journals.
mhm.
And I remember reading those years and years ago when I was just started writing and identifying with her because she would go out to burn the garbage so that she could get away from the house for a little bit. And I was doing that when I lived in the country. And so, and also how she just had to write no matter what. And on her 40th birthday, she was kind of at a place in her life where she thought, well, this isn't making me any money. And I don't know if I should be doing this. And she kind of, her husband, he let her know that she had another rejection in the mail,
Oh,
and she covered up her typewriter, and she just thought, this is it, that's a sign, it's my 40th birthday, I just got another rejection. And she walked around the room, and she was walking around the room crying and realizing as she was crying that while she was crying, she was thinking of how she was going to write about this epiphany. So I thought, there's so much that that's me too. I have to write whether it's making me money or not. And I actually wrote a letter to her to let her know how much that meant to me. Her granddaughter answered and said her mom or her grandmother was not doing well, but she actually answered, and it's just like, oh
goosebumps.
my gosh. So that's somebody who has influenced my writing a lot, and just to see that determination in somebody else, kind of keeps you going.
Yeah, and and to hear that someone who we all admire as much as Madeline, and that she had those doubts too, because we all get them,
Right.
in our
Hmm.
writing life, and that
Hmm.
perseverance is so important. So, wow, that's a great story. Thank you for
Hmm.
sharing that
Yes.
with us. Um, so, tell us about your newest book. I mean, you have how many books out right now?
So this will be my seventh,
Yes.
and they're all nonfiction. So I don't even know how you write fiction. I mean, to me, that's like a magic, because mine's reality and yours is
I feel the same way
imagination. So
about, so yeah, tell us a little bit about Call to Be Creative.
mhm. So that this is my fun book. I mean, the others are such. Oh, I had a couponing book, and then I had one about taking care of my husband during cancer, and then I had one about losing my husband, and an expressive writing journal, and a fun one I co-wrote with a friend. But this one, I think the seeds of it were planted 10 years ago when I lost my mom, and she was such a creative person. I mean, when you're growing up and you see your mother like that, you don't think of it as being creative, it's just mom. But then you realize, hey, this woman raised 10 children in poverty, and she still had the rag rugs and the beautiful wall hangings, and she was painting and she was carving wood. At age 42, she just thinks she's going to pick up I think it was a knife in the kitchen drawer and start carving a piece of wood. And then, so nothing stopped her from creating beauty in her world. And to lose that person, I started writing down, just little jotting down things at that time, 10 years ago, about creativity, because I was meeting people who were saying they weren't creative, or it was too late for them, or young moms with children who would say, well, I don't have time for that. And I was thinking, wow, my mom believed we all have it in us. We all believe it's in our children, right? So it's in there, it's in us. And so I knew there was something to it then. And so that's why I started writing the book. And I wrote it during a period of time. I really sat down to write it during a period of time when I was leaving one job that was pretty much killing me creatively and going to a different job. And I knew this was the time to write it. And what's neat is I use my mom's handwritten quotes, and they put those in the book. So each chapter, the epigraph of each chapter is actually words written by my mother.
Oh, it's
And
really
so, and
cute.
it fits each chapter. So it was a really, really fun book to write, and then to dig into the research, because I do love research, dig into the research behind creativity, and to interview some people and I wanted it to be everyday people, not famous people, everyday people who were fitting creativity into their life. So I have 11 profiles in there of people who are creative in how they, whether it's yoga or whether it is in painting or wood carving. My brother now carves wood. He was 60 years old when he started carving wood. So it was just a really fun book to write.
Yeah. And kind of a love letter between you and your
Mhm.
mom. I mean, your mom's words are in your book, and then
Oh, yeah.
what you took from her words. That's pretty amazing. Yeah.
That's what it became, is a love letter to my mother. And when my dad appeared in one of the chapters, it was a surprise to me. I thought, oh, there's my dad talking to 16-year-old me when a boy broke up with me, and his words appeared, and it was like a surprise. And I hear that happens in fiction, as like something that happens, like, and people think, what do you mean it was a surprise? You're writing the book, how could it be a surprise?
Time.
And then my grandson appeared, and I had lost him to cancer too, and that was like, wow, all these people I loved who influenced me and influenced my creativity appeared in this book.
That's incredible. Well, we will be certainly looking for Call to Be Creative, wherever books are sold, correct? On Amazon
Yes.
and
Yes.
booksellers
Hmm.
everywhere. So we will be looking forward to that. And thank you so much, Mary, for being here today, bringing Kevin.
Thank you, Heather.